Welcome to the Nutritional Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Kyla Chanel. I'm a performance nutritionist specializing in sex differences in sport. I work with athletes from all over the world through my online private practice and sports nutrition programs. We here at Nutritional Revolution are here to cut through the BS promoted in the media and give you the science, literally straight from the research articles, as well as share client success stories and experiences around nutrition and racing. Please keep in mind, this podcast is created strictly for educational purposes only and should never be used as a replacement for medical diagnosis and treatment. If you like what you hear today, we would love for you to subscribe and share. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nutritional Revolution podcast. It is Kyla, your host, and today we have for you guys Brooke Johnson, and she became the first and only woman to skateboard across America in 2025. She raised over $50,000 for spinal cord research in honor of her stepdad, Roger, and we talked to Brooke about what fueled her 118-day adventure from Venice Beach, California to Virginia Beach in Virginia, and the meaningful lessons she learned along the way. This is definitely one of its kind, you guys, and amazing. Enjoy the episode. It was fantastic. Welcome back to the Nutritional Revolution podcast, you guys. We have a first for you. The first woman ever to skateboard across America. We have Brooke Johnson for you guys. Thank you for joining us. we were dealing before we hit record both with animals in the office situation. So I think my cat is quite literally trying to break into my office right now. So apologize if you hear that in the background. Okay, well, our listeners heard your bio. We're going to learn more in a second, but I'm going to let you dive straight into your two truths and a lie for us, Brooke. I'm going to
Okay, amazing.
No
two
particular
truths
order.
and a lie. Do I just rip them? Like I just say it?
Yep. No particular order, right?
So let's see. Growing up, I was a gymnast.
Okay.
And then I love to snowboard. That's one of my favorite hobbies. And then the last one is I rode my skateboard all the way to Mexico from Venice Beach.
Okay. Cool. These are good ones. I feel like these could all be true. I feel like these are all good. I like when you said the first two, I was like, yeah, those gotta be true. Gymnast, loves to snowboard, transfers to the skateboard.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how to act like nonchalant.
Yeah, you just act cash. You just play it cool. I'm going to I feel like maybe you would do like the skateboard to you said from Mexico to Venice Beach?
Venice Beach to Mexico.
Venice Beach to Mexico.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a test run. Where do you live? Where are you based out of?
I live in Seattle.
Well, now I think that's the lie. Okay, I'm going to go with the last one is lie, but don't tell me the answer. We're going to find out some fun facts about you at the end of the episode. Okay, I want you to share it, but you obviously did something incredibly impressive last year. So do you want to share with our listeners like what you did, how many days it took you? And we can start to dive into the nitty gritty, but also what inspired you to do this as well, I think would be helpful.
Absolutely. So last year I decided that I wanted to skateboard across America, and it happened I had been planting this seed for a while, and I just never really had a purpose or a cause. And I just didn't want to like up and go and be like, I'm just going to do this. I feel like everything big has a purpose behind it. And for about 3 years, I kind of sat on this idea, and my best friend holds 2 world records. And I was like, she had just gotten her second one the year before. And I was like, I feel like I need a world record now. Like I need something I don't know. I just need something. And like, you are the sum of the 5 most people you spend the time, like the most time around. And spending so much time around her, I was like, I just cannot be the friend who doesn't have a record. So there was this moment where that seed was planted when I met her. I was like, what would my record be?
Mm.
And this came to me over COVID, and I was like, this would be a great idea to attempt one day.
Mhm.
And of course, like when you think of something this large and at this caliber, it's like you immediately zoom out and you look at the whole
Mm.
elephant kind of vibe. You're like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, money, team, like how do I find the time? What do I give
Right.
up? What am I? And you're just kind of sitting there awestruck. And I think my biggest question when I had even thought of the idea was like, what would I do it for? What's a
Mm.
cause I stand for?
Mhm.
And I feel like finding a cause is one of the hardest parts of something.
Mm. Mhm.
I was just kind of sitting on this idea. And I moved to New York City and I was living in New York in 2023. No, 2024. And then I received a phone call from my mom right right around this time of the year. Like a like it'd be 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago like last week. And my mom called me and she said that my stepdad had been injured. He had fallen and broken his C5 vertebrae, which is like the vertebrae that sits at the base of your neck, and it controls all movement of the body. And so
Mm.
he had become a complete quadriplegic overnight.
My gosh.
He woke up on his 71st birthday, just in the ICU, breathing tube down
Oh,
the neck, full quad, no
yeah.
movement. And it happened the night of his birthday.
Mm.
The few days later, they were supposed to go on a cruise, so I already had a flight booked home, so I jumped on that flight, headed back. I was supposed to watch the dogs and came back to see him. When I got to the emergency room, not the emergency room, but the ICU, I was just in shock, and I was like,
Mm.
the whole family was there. I was like, "What do we do?" I'm looking at our house and thinking about our house is not,
Mm.
like, fit for someone in a wheelchair. Our car,
Right.
you cannot roll into our car, unfortunately. Like, if you're in a wheelchair, there's no way.
Yeah.
And so I sat next to Roger, my stepdad, and I started thinking about it and I was like, "Roger, like I need to do something. Like we need to raise money for you." Like, the only thing I'm really good at is content, and I've been doing content for 6.5 years, and I've seen YouTubers raise a bunch of money like Mr. Beast or Ryan Trahan, and I was
Mm.
like, "I could do that. It's easy. Like, let's go." And my stepdad kind of like not knowing fully like how big my platform is on social media was kind of like he was just like, "Okay." To the idea, I was like, "Hey, can I skate across America and set a record for your recovery, like, and raise money for your recovery?" And he said, "Absolutely. Do you think we'll raise any money?" And I was like,
Oh.
"Yeah, I think we can do it." Um, him not knowing how the internet works or stuff like that
Yeah.
was so wholesome. And he then looked at me and he said, "Under one condition." And he said, "As long as you push me across the finish line." And
Oh.
so we had a deal. And a few years prior to that, I had been thinking about this idea and I was like genuinely like, how could I ever make this happen?
Mm.
And a few years prior, I was sitting on a panel in front of the AT&T and T and Cricket Wireless C-suite executive team. And they had asked me, well, Brooke, like, what's next for a creator like you? And I was like, I'm going to skateboard across America next year. And their head of marketing was like, let us know when you do. We would love to work with you on that.
Wow.
And I just like surprised myself because I was like, I didn't know I was going to say that. That just
Mhm.
came out of nowhere. But I wanted like a shock factor thing to say. So I said it. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have to do it now. And this was like a year prior to my stepdad's accident. And that's when I was
Oh,
kind of like, what's my cause? Like, what
yeah.
is the reason brands would come on board to
Mm.
sponsor? What's the reason
Mhm.
people would want to help? Like,
Mhm.
what am I doing?
Mhm.
And so when my stepdad said, like, I'm gonna push you need to push me across the finish line, that was like
Mm.
what we were gonna do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 3 weeks after I had made that promise to him, the recovery process for a spinal cord injury is way more dangerous than the surgery because
Wow.
someone is laying in the bed and there's like opportunities for blood clots. You're on a ventilator, and if you're off your ventilator too long, that can cause complications and a heart attack, which is exactly what happened to my stepdad. Um, and so we ended up losing him. And as a step kid, I kind of like I was just kind of in the background. My mom was grieving. We had I mean, Roger's been in our family, and I've been a part of Roger's family for over 11 years, and he was with me through so many crazy times in my life and really took the role of my dad. Um, and so in that moment, I was just I was angry, I was mad, I was upset, and then when I went home after the hospital, I was like, "I have a promise. I have a
Mm.
promise to keep, and that's all." And, like, when you're the step kid, nothing's getting left to you. You're not
Mhm.
getting anything crazy, like, you just you have a relationship with someone who means the world. Like, he has 3 other
Mhm.
kids who and my mom, like, that was, like I was just the kid in the corner. And so from that, I was like, "I have this promise that he left me." And that's, like, bigger than anything anyone could ever leave you, is a promise and a purpose. And so that's when I decided I was gonna set out to skateboard across America and do it for spinal cord research and help people through the recovery process. So we ended up raising $55,000 for spinal cord research during that
Wow.
time, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we did it in 119 days, and I wore Roger's ashes around my neck, and
Oh,
so he got pushed across the finish line like I promised. Every time we start to talk about this, I
yeah.
start to cry,
You're gonna
but
make me cry. Don't cry. Don't cry, because I'll cry. Okay, get your tissues, listeners. Get your tissues. That is an incredible. Yeah, I'm already tearing up. We're tearing up here. I'll try and pull it together. But yeah, incredible. Very incredible and inspiring story. So you took off in when for the
I
April?
took off on April 17th,
Okay.
of last year,
2025.
2025, and then I finished August 15th.
Wow. Okay. And logistics, like how, when you're like planning that, and maybe we can just even just stick to like the nutrition logistics, like was that even a thought in your mind, or was there other larger logistics at play when you're thinking
Um,
about that?
there was the largest logistic was running a team and, like, paying them, because
Hmm.
I decided as the first woman to skateboard across America, in order for people to believe me as a woman, I have to document it, like, tenfold kinda thing,
Hmm.
and I mean, like, everyone always makes the assumption, they're like, "Oh, she walked, she, like, hitchhiked, she drove." I'm like, "None of that happened."
Yeah.
Like, absolutely none of that. I was so even even when I wasn't, like, around anyone, I was so determined to keep my feet on that board. There was no
Hmm.
like, even if there was rocks, even if there was a dirt patch, like, I would, like, do this weird limping skate thing across. There was I kept my feet on that board at all times, no matter what terrain I was encountering.
Hmm.
Uh, and so my biggest logistic though was like running a team and tracking the record. And
Hmm.
that team is really important to tracking the record. So my videographer, my editor, and my assistant. My assistant drove the car between my like videographer and her. They were switching back and forth. My editor always just edited. He was in the back of the van. Um, and that was basically it. But it took me 3 months to get funding to pay my team. Like, I started this whole thing with, like, $2,000 in my bank account and was like, "All right, let's figure it out."
Yes.
Um, and so I tell people all the time, like, they often I'll get a comment here and there that's like, "You're just a rich kid, whatever."
Mm.
Like, that's, like, the opposite of the case. If I was a rich kid, I would have
Yeah.
never, like I would have just paid for my house to be renovated for my stepdad. I wouldn't have made a promise to him.
Yeah.
But that team portion, like making sure they were fed and like
Hmm.
making sure we had enough food, um, was always so hard. There was like, we would make sure everyone had a shower every other day
Mhm.
or every day, or their laundry. Like there were these small logistics of like, well, why did it take you so long? And it's like, well, I had 3 other people that were depending on me to
Mm.
like sustain their own life.
Yeah.
So that was like a journey within itself. Um, and like managing them and being like, hey, we need to get this post up. Like I'm
Mm.
skating 50 miles today. So I literally cannot do anything
Wow.
else with that because your
Yeah.
brain, you get to a point where your brain just kind of shuts off.
Wow.
And the only thing it wants to do is just the one task that you've tasked it with, which is to
Mhm.
keep going.
Mhm.
And when you're pushing on the side of the road, the thing people are asking me constantly, like, oh, did you listen to music or anything? It's like, no, because I had to hear semis and cars
Yeah.
passing. And so you're
Yeah.
constantly like twisting your head and like analyzing the road ahead and analyzing the road behind to
Wow.
know like what's on your 6, what's like right in front of
Mhm.
you. Should I get over right now? And so there's no room to like think
Yeah.
about the song you're listening to unless you're on like a really chill road, which was like oftentimes rare.
Whoa. So when you're choosing the route, like it makes like how do you try and choose a route that's more relatively flat versus something that has a
Yeah.
lot of like trying to imagine like riding a skateboard up it's got to be like how do you just are like constantly kick pushing off the ground?
Yeah. Yep. Just off the ground, me and my feet.
Goodness.
Like the route decision was kind of like I wanted to take the least hot and the
Mm.
least hilly.
Right.
Most people who will like bike across America will go through like Colorado and
Mm.
stuff like that. But I was like, why would I put myself through crazy Colorado when like there's like a mid route, there's like the super low route, which comes out to like 2,800 miles. But the current world record for the male was like 3,300 and like
Mm.
38.
Hmm.
Um, and I was like, I had to hit that in order to like be held up by a Guinness book
Mhm.
and be like, I don't know, recognized by the people because they're like, oh, she skated 100 miles less than him. Like, I didn't want to
Mm.
give anyone any reason to talk.
Mhm.
So I skated 3,668 miles.
Mm.
Um, so I beat him by another like 300 something miles.
Damn, good for you.
um, which I just needed an extra few miles to be like, yo, there's
Yeah.
no way anyone's gonna touch this unless they like come in and beat my mileage as
Yeah.
well. So I wanted to have that. They can come in and beat it. Like it's definitely beatable. 119 days is not super impressive for any distance skating, but I
Mm.
was running a team. We were tired.
Yeah.
And there were days where we just like had to sit and do computer work and I had to like pay my
Mm.
team on the road. So there was like a lot of that, a lot of interviews on certain days. We'd have news outlets come out and do that.
Wow. Yeah.
Uh,
It's a lot of stop time.
a lot of stop time.
Yeah.
Not too much, but like
Mhm.
there were days where like my body would just like give out if I was on my
Mm.
period.
Mm.
I like skated a mile and got super nauseous and like I was like,
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
move. And my body gets super bloated. And then you're like,
Mhm.
it was like I'd never experienced it before where my body just hit that type of wall
Yeah.
and was like, take a fucking break right now.
Yeah. So
I don't know if
was
I'm
gonna
allowed to
ask,
swear on
like
the pod, but like here we are.
no, you can swear on the pod. So you did you plan for like so many days of skateboarding and then a rest day initially?
No, I was like, no rest days.
No rest days for 70
Um,
days.
I had originally contracted my team for 70 days and we definitely didn't hit
Right.
that. We were in Oklahoma on day 70 and I was like, if I have to strap my backpack to my back and keep going by
Mm.
myself, like I will,
Mhm.
I'll be 100% fine.
Yeah.
Especially with the amount of police always stopping and asking if I was okay. Like it was definitely like I was like, I'm so safe.
Yeah. That's good.
No one's gonna come to the
Yeah.
12-year-old girl on the side of the road. At
Oh
least
my
that's what I
gosh.
looked like.
Go and try and kidnap you. Uh,
Yeah.
goodness. Going through those sections and you said riding like 50 miles some days or more? Like
Yeah.
what were we
Yeah.
wow.
I think 58 was my PR, 56 or
Wow.
58. Definitely long.
Yeah. So like how many hours were you riding during the day, or skateboarding, like versus sleeping? Like what do you
As I would sleep with no alarm. That was like my thing is like I can't unless I had to do an early morning wake
Mhm.
up to like beat the heat. On certain days I'd be like I just need to sleep until I wake up and then get out the door, but I would
Yeah.
skate until like sometimes I would start at 7 a.m., sometimes I would
Mhm.
start at 8,
Mhm.
10, but I would go all the way until it's pitch black outside and it's like
Wow.
10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So it always or sometimes I would go into the night and I would do a night
Mhm.
skate. Towards the end, I was like, "Let me get done with this."
Mm.
And my friend Cassie, for those of you who are listening, follow me here. Um, my friend Cassie rode a children's electric motorcycle. So picture like a toy motorcycle, but
Yeah.
like with rubber tires kind of
Mhm.
rated for like one of those beefier, more expensive
Mhm.
children's toys.
Yeah.
She rode that with her one-eyed chihuahua in her backpack
Oh.
with me at night towards the end
Oh.
so that because I got scared at night, so typically
Yeah.
the van would follow me at nighttime, and they would have their, like, high beams on, and we'd, like, go
Yeah.
up some mountain passes together, but
Wow.
Cassie would be there instead of the van, just
Oh.
cruising with me on this
Yeah.
tiny motorcycle.
Oh. That's great. Did you
Um,
like could she fit that in the van at like when she
yeah,
wasn't riding it? Oh, that's so
yeah.
great.
So it was so funny, she had bought a rental car, but then she had lost the keys to the rental car, so we had to get the rental car towed. Then her motorcycle went into our van. We had my mom, my friend, and my 3 team members with me and Cassie's motorcycle at one point, like, all in the van.
My
Um,
gosh.
luckily, I was never in there unless I was, like, taking a nap or, like,
Mhm.
eating something and then jumping out, but, um at one point, it was, like, chaotic.
Yeah. It sounds like you need like a tour bus to like do like with the amount of crew you need.
Yeah. Well, towards the end, people would start to, like, come by and they wanted to be with me, so, like, they would show up, but yeah, I would have loved a bigger RV, but, like, more expensive gas and
Right.
also, like, more expensive rentals, so, um, the rental on the van was, like, I don't know, I was paid, like, 2,500 to 3 grand a month on that.
Wow. Yeah. Plus gas.
Yeah, I don't even know how much I spent on gas, but we
Wow.
weren't even driving that fast, so they would, like,
Right.
drive and park and then just chill,
Yeah.
um, and then run off solar.
Nice.
I don't know. I know how much the tour cost. I sat down with my accountant a few weeks ago and was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, it's a lot of
Yeah.
money."
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It is wild. I was just talking to another client and they were telling me about a world record, a man who cycled around the world, like, and he holds the record. And I think they said he did it in like 2017, but in today's dollars, maybe it was 2007. I remember there was a seven in it, but in today's dollars, he basically had $1 million like supporting him to do it. Like, and
Checks.
yeah, it's not cheap.
No, I definitely did it bare bones, like,
Yeah.
as bare bones as I could do it with documenting it how well that we did.
Hmm.
Um, like, there are people who've done it at a lower budget, but haven't documented it to the caliber
Mm.
we have. I can make a documentary out of the stuff
Yeah.
that I filmed,
Amazing.
um, which is optimal for history and showcasing that, so very
Is that
important.
coming down the pipeline? Like, is there?
It
Yeah.
is.
Sweet. I can't wait. I can't wait.
In August, 'cause I didn't finish posting all the YouTube videos 'cause my videographer my editor got burnt out and was like, "I'm
Yeah.
tired," and I was like,
Yeah.
"That's understandable," so we finished the YouTube videos at Texas, and so now I'm just putting together a whole entire doc of, like, this the whole process, and we'll see how it turns out, but it's gonna come out on the on the anniversary of the day that I finished.
Okay.
So,
Cool. So
yeah.
August 15th,
Yep.
2026. Okay,
Yep.
cool. We will keep our eyes peeled for that. So we have to talk about nutrition. Like, what are you eating starting off your day?
You want to know?
I
Kyla, you
want to
really
know.
want to know?
I do. Please spill the tea.
It's so embarrassing, but the thing about most of America is that you're operating in a food desert, especially if
Mhm.
you're off the interstates. If you're on
Yeah.
interstates, it's pretty easy to find like healthier options. But since I couldn't legally skate on an interstate, and
Mm.
also for the world record, if you skate on an interstate, it doesn't count.
Okay.
So we were off the interstates,
Mhm.
back roads, highways,
Mm.
roads that are just really long and 2 lanes,
Yeah.
and you're just like in the desert. So our options oftentimes were Family Dollar or Dollar General.
Mm.
Um, I would just grab anything that looked good in there. Be like,
Mhm.
okay, today a Lunchable looks really nice.
Nice.
Um, healthy options are few and far between. Like if you want like a good chicken meal, like
Mhm.
it's hard. But
Yeah.
there were about 5 or 6 grocery stores that we found that were female owned and
Mm.
operated and founded that were all healthy, which I found fascinating is like they were either a food truck owned by a female who needed a healthy option in Texas, or
Mm.
you're in the middle of New Mexico and she wanted to source from all the farmers that were around. And she even made a point to say, like, we don't carry anything that Family Dollar or Dollar General has, because Dollar General and Family Dollar will come in and be like, oh, you're selling that same product. We'll just undercut you a little bit.
Jeez.
And she sells whatever they don't sell,
Mhm.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that was only though in a few areas. Like
Mhm.
we would go, I don't know, hundreds of miles without finding a healthy grocery store.
Yeah.
But I would eat McDonald's, chicken, like their big chicken burger with
Mhm.
a medium fry and a McFlurry. Those were
Mm.
PR
Mhm.
days. That or
Nice.
Wendy's. I would
Carbs.
do like junior bacon cheeseburger or their chicken bacon cheeseburger. Anything that
Mhm.
I could get like a fuck ton of calories in my body. But every time I ate those big meals, I would PR. It was not optimal for, like, health. I don't wanna
Mm.
be housing
Right.
McDonald's every day,
Yeah.
but I would be lying if I would say that I wasn't excited every time I saw one to just, like, sit down for 30 minutes and eat
Mhm.
my lunch and, like,
Yeah.
feel kinda juiced after and be like,
Mhm.
"Let's go."
Yeah. That's
Um,
great.
not optimal, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot of optimal options throughout
Right.
America, which is really sad.
Yeah. No, no, I mean, you're spot on for sure. So it sounds like you're kind of doing like a breakfast, then you'd go skate, then you'd stop for a
Mhm.
lunch, you'd skate, and you'd stop for dinner. Are you snacking on anything between, or do you have like a camelback
Yeah.
on with for hydration or
Oh my god, my Camelback is my lifeline.
awesome?
Line. As an endurance athlete, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm gonna straight up tell you, this is my number 1 hack. I never got 1 cramp
Nice.
the whole entire skate.
That's awesome. Wow.
No muscle cramps, no nothing. I cramp now. Like,
Just sleeping.
when I go lift, like, I
Yeah.
cramp, but
Yeah.
not once during the whole entire skate. I had a 2-liter Camelback,
Hmm.
um, with every every Camelback that I made always had 1 packet of Element in it. Um, Element is like the most elite hydration drink. Most athletes will be like, "Oh, I don't like Element because it doesn't have the sugar that I need in it." I would eat my peanut butter and jellies that I had. I would always grab like a pack of frozen peanut butter and jellies, and those are
Mm.
where I would get my sugars.
Yeah.
Um, I don't need sugar in my water. Especially if I'm like it's in my mouth all the time and I'm like drinking
Hmm.
it. Like I don't need that on my teeth.
Right.
Um, but Element, because it has the potassium and the magnesium,
Hmm.
and I was drinking about 8 to 10 liters of water a day.
Wow.
Um, I would be having what is that? That's about 4 elements a day. So my
Hmm.
potassium and my magnesium was super high,
Nice.
and my sodium intake. So I was just holding water, um, and like I would I learned that if you are peeing clear,
Mm.
you need more sodium,
Mhm.
and if your pee is like a light lemon yellow, you're perfect. You're exactly where you need to be. But if you're peeing every 30 minutes, that means you need and you're peas the same color as the toilet bowl to have some sodium because your body is no longer absorbing the water. It's just
Mhm.
flowing right through you, and it's so important that you have some sodium in you. Um, that's I learned that so quickly. But my element was my lifeline.
Yeah.
Mango chili lime all day long. Like
Oh,
I
really?
will wave their flag until the end of time.
Mango
Um,
chili. I haven't tried that one yet, that
it's
flavor.
the best. If you put it in
Really?
with ice,
Mm.
mango chili lime with ice, I would get so excited I still drink it. Like after 119 days, I still have like half a packet of element because the sodium is like super
Mhm.
high. It's 1,000 milligrams. So I'm like, I only like limit myself to 500, but I still drink it. It's still my favorite flavor. Lemonade is also fire,
Mm.
but I could talk about them for hours. Like
Yeah.
blown away by the product. I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without that product, period. Not
It's awesome.
sponsored, didn't pay
Yeah.
me, like just a game changer.
Yeah. Salt, it's an important piece of the puzzle, certainly. Um, that's amazing you had 0 cramps throughout. Did you do any, like, supplements while you were out there? Like,
No.
multivitamins or anything? Nothing?
The magnesium and the potassium
Mhm.
that I was consuming, so it's like I was having inside the element packet, I think it's 200 grams of magnesium and like 500 or 300 of potassium,
Mhm.
and I was having 4 of those a
Yeah.
day. So those were like those if you are supplementing, like those 2 supplements are super important because people are like, "Eat a banana if you're cramping," but if you can stay on top of your magnesium and your potassium,
Mhm.
you won't cramp. I
Yeah.
can just say that from experience of like doing one of the most difficult challenges and working the same muscles over and over again.
Yeah.
No cramp is crazy.
Yeah. Do
Crazy.
you switch between which leg is pushing?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna, like,
On
come out with one giant quad or calf on
Yeah,
one
no,
side.
they are still one is giant and one is like there you can my masseuse constantly is like, I can tell which sides
Oh.
like my dominant thigh is my right thigh and my
Hmm.
dominant calf is my left calf. So if
Oh.
you think of a skater, because I'm constantly pushing on
Yep.
each foot,
Yeah.
one leg is doing lunges and one calf is doing pushes. And so
Interesting, yeah.
my body is like off kilter in the form of an X.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like
Yeah.
piece of my back is like stronger than the other because it's like holding me up. But
Whoa.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not great, but it works.
Skating, it is interesting, yeah, it is, like, yeah, very, like, one-sided, right? Compared to, like,
Yeah.
cycling or running or swimming. Gosh, that's wild. Okay, so how are you, like, recovering when you're
Mhm.
taking, like, a rest day? Is there anything you're doing, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, do you have any recovery tools with you? You stretching? You just snoozing it off? Like, how are you trying to recover?
Sleep, and I would always find a masseuse in the town, and I would call
Smart.
them and be like, "Hi, I'm skating by. Can I come in for a massage right now?" And they're like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Please."
Mhm.
And so there were moments where people would make space for me and just like come in and like get in my muscles. I had
Yeah.
2 masseuses that were exquisite. I had one
Oh.
in Parker, Arizona.
Mm.
This lady rocked my world after the desert, having her like come in and like push on my like lymph nodes and also like get
Oh, yeah.
into my muscle fascia was like
Mhm.
it made me so much of a better athlete.
Wow.
I had my Theragun. It's
Mhm.
not a Theragun technically, it's like a different brand, but it has
Right.
this like moon-shaped like,
Oh, yeah. I
attachment that could
yeah.
fit right around my thigh, which was
Nice.
epic.
Yeah.
Um, and then some days I would do if there was an ice bath available in the
Mm.
town, I would have my assistant be like, "Hey, look up if there's any, like, ice baths or recoveries anywhere." I would go and jump in that.
Nice.
In Missouri, they had the compression boots, which I love. I wish I had those in the van,
Yeah.
because my legs would get super swollen, and my assistant would take photos of me before I would go in the boots and then after, and you could just see, even after a massage, how, like, all the lactic acid would be, like, flushed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, just, like, all the fluid sitting on top of my muscles was insane.
Wow.
My legs looked 10 times different every time I got, like, a massage or I was in the boots. Um, compression boots are a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely are. I swear they like help with soreness so much. Like if I do a heavy lifting day and I do the boots that same day, like I do not get nearly as sore like the
They're so
next.
expensive, but man,
Yeah.
I'm looking at buying a pair because they are, yeah, they're elite. They're an
Yeah.
elite tool.
There's this couple different brands too now. Like there's not just like the Hyper Ice or Normatec or whatever, but that are out there. I feel like they'll get more and more affordable too, like just like all the
Mhm.
massage guns and stuff like that too, hopefully. But yeah, they definitely are a great tool. Okay, so after you cross the finish line, are you well, are you craving any type of like food? Are you so sick of the things you've been eating? Like what happens once you cross that finish line?
Yeah. So the day I crossed the finish line, I had skated 30 miles prior. I had also eaten McDonald's that day with Cassie because I was so hungry. I was like, I need to
Oh,
eat. Like
yeah.
I can't function. And I had a team of people. There were a bunch of skaters in Virginia Beach that met up with me
No.
on like about 15 miles out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a bunch of people meet up with me about 2 miles out. So they skated
Nice.
2 miles with me to the finish line. And so I had a bunch of people finishing behind me, um, which was an amazing moment because
Yeah.
I had read a book when I was in college, called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And the last
Mm-hmm.
chapter talks about how if you are pushing against everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
no one else is going to join you. But if you're pushing with yourself against yourself, everyone will join behind you.
Mm.
And when I read this last chapter, which I highly recommend everyone reads, it's about a boy with cerebral palsy. The last
Mm.
chapter is. Um, I was always like, who would ever run behind me, and like, what would be
Mm.
my kind of cause? And to have over 100 people pushing behind me and like joining me on this journey was so incredible. Um, so when I crossed the finish line, I kind of like blacked out. I was like, whoa, I'm here. I just jumped
Yeah.
in the ocean. And when I was underwater, I was like, wow, this is like the first time I've been underwater since like I started to skate.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was really, really special. I think what was I craving? I always craving a burger. But I wasn't eating beef at the time, um, because I had skated through a town that had mass produced beef. It's
Oh.
called Hereford, Texas. It's the
Oh.
largest producer of beef in the US. They produce over 1 billion pounds of beef and have over 1 million heads of cattle. And it's stinky. It's the stinkiest place on earth. And I had like poop covering me while I was skating. And so after Hereford in like the Texas Panhandle, I didn't eat beef. So I was always just opting for a chicken burger.
Mm.
Don't know, like I didn't skate past any chicken plants, so I
Yeah.
didn't have any like trauma.
Yeah. Wow.
Beef, I only now get it from like grass-fed, grass-finished,
Mhm.
like local farms here in Washington because I was just like, absolutely not am I going
Yeah.
to eat that. But I was constantly, yeah, after Hereford, I wasn't eating beef.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you. Goodness. Okay. Well, I want to be mindful of your time. So the foundation or is that still happening and where can people still donate?
Yeah. So we're partnered with Wings for Life. And unfortunately, when this podcast goes up, I won't be, um, the thing that I'm doing this year will be kind of over, but
Okay.
you can do it next year. It's called
Hmm.
the Wings for Life World Run. And
Mm.
what's really special about the World Run is that you can run it from literally your front door. You just
Mm.
turn on your phone, put your headphones in, and like there's an announcer that is broadcasting live, and you can run your 5K
Mm.
in your neighborhood. You can
Yeah.
run it with your friends. You can start a team and run it. But this year I have a team and we're running it. It's on the 10th on Mother's Day. So
Oh, cool.
there's that. But also, um, I'm doing like, I'm not necessarily doing a fundraiser, but I am speaking at this thing called Running Man in Atlanta
Mm,
in September. So if anyone wants to come see me speak or run with me, it's in partnership with Sarah Blakely and Jesse Itzler. So I'll be doing that.
nice.
And yeah, that's the only fundraiser I'm doing this year. And then next year there will be some other stuff that I'm working on with them.
Some more world records to break.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe.
Amazing. Okay, I have to go back to your two truths and a lie. So you said you grew up as a gymnast, you loved to snowboard, and that you rode your skateboard from Venice Beach to Mexico. I
Yeah.
think I said that one was the lie.
Uh-huh.
Is that the lie?
No.
Is it, what is it? Is it the snowboard one?
Yeah. I
Really?
I ski. I'm an avid skier.
Oh,
I love
really?
skiing.
Oh my goodness. So you did go from Venice Beach to Mexico. Was that a test run?
No, I had done that back in 2020. I
Wow.
wanted to be my first time in Mexico, I had wanted to skate there, so I had this
Mm,
wild idea. We were living
wow.
on the beach in Venice.
Yeah.
I lived there for, like, 6.5 years, and I was just like, "Let's go to Mexico." So, we skated to Mexico.
Nice. What is that distance?
That was 178 miles
Oh
at the
my
time.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah, and my PR overall is, like, 60 plus miles a day.
Wow.
I didn't do that on the skate. I
Yeah.
barely even got to that, but,
Wow.
yeah, we did LA, like, Venice Beach to Mexico in 3 days, which was
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah. Goodness. I
Mhm.
didn't get to ask you this, but did you ever take any like spills on the board? Like, I imagine like
Yeah, I
all
only
the
fell
roads
7 times.
when you went across the United States,
Yeah.
but only 7 times in
Yeah,
117 days?
and all of them, so the first 6 were because either I was texting and looking at my phone and going really slow and I hit a rock, um, or I one of my big falls was on this highway called the Bloody Beeline.
Gosh.
Um, I was skating in the dark and there was a giant crack and my wheels went into the crack and I was on the phone with my boyfriend and I fell and these police came and saw me and they were like, they had seen the whole thing happen. I was like, "Oh my God." Like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm skating up this highway." They're like, "This is the bloody beeline." And I was like, "Fitting because I'm bleeding."
Yeah.
Um,
Jeez.
but the last, like, one of the bigger falls was because sometimes cars were a little crazy and they would, like, swerve at me just to see if they could scare me,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I was on this, like, highway that had really deep rumble strips, like, they were
Mm.
they were, like, 3 inches deep.
Whoa.
I don't know why, they were
Mm.
wild.
Yeah.
It's the only time I had ever seen it, but I had looked back because this car was, like, honking his horn and, like, swerving at me, even though
Jeez.
I was, like, on a 6-foot shoulder.
Hate
People
to
just love
jeez.
to, like, do some weird
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I got scared and I swerved a little bit and hit the rumble strip and those took me down.
Shoot.
But when you fall, you have to jump up and grab your board really fast, otherwise it could get hit by traffic, so
Oh
you
my
don't have
gosh.
time to think about it, you're just like, "Oh, shit."
Jeez.
7 times, um, most of which were all just texting and hitting a rock and going like a mile an hour.
No
I
texting
was
and
gonna say,
skating.
a rock will take the best skater down, like a
Yeah.
pebble.
Oh gosh.
You
Yeah,
could
the
be Tony
tiny
Hawk
the
and the pebble will
smaller
still take you down.
yeah. Shoot. Well, this has been
Mhm.
so fun, and honestly, like, this is so I love hearing this stuff because I mean, it's not typical for us, but it's so unique, and it's such a cool story and great cause and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Where can our listeners find you, follow you, like, watch your YouTube clips, all that stuff?
Yeah. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, what am I missing? TikTok, and YouTube.
Sweet.
Uh, all of the journeys are on there, and I feel so bad that I talked about McDonald's and Wendy's, but, like,
No, you're fine.
it's not optimal. It's not, like, what I
Right.
wanna eat all the time,
Yeah.
although, like, there were moments on the skate where I was like, I would kill for the highest calorie
Totally.
input I could
Yeah.
possibly have. Um, but yeah, there were, like, beets and lentils in there at some
Yeah.
points, um, when
You
we would
get
get it.
what you get.
Yeah, when we would get to stop
Yeah.
at a Costco, but other than
Y
that, like,
yeah.
It
I
was
think that's
rough.
pretty common. Like we've had, I mean, we've had other like ultra cyclists, like I said, and runners and stuff on here. And yeah, it is slim pickings out there. Like once you run through what you brought, you just, living off of gas station food and trying to survive. So,
It's definitely like, I will say, like, what I learned from my body fully over the skate was like I weighed in the beginning of the skate at
mm,
150 pounds and I'm
mm,
5'2". And so that's a lot for me. I had never been that weight before in my
mm.
life. And during the skate, I was like, oh, I'll lose weight. I didn't. I weighed in exactly at 150 pounds on the end of the
Wow.
skate. Um, which I will say, like, if there's any women listening, that for me was like an immediate red flag to know, like, hey, something is wrong.
Mm.
Like, something's off internally. And so I went and got my blood work done. And I got diagnosed as so with PCOS. I have like, I'm on the
Oh.
PCOS spectrum. So it doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that I have like cysts on my ovaries, but it does
Mm-hmm.
mean that I have high testosterone.
Mm,
Uh, I don't have insulin resistance,
mm,
but that high testosterone is what has been, and the high cortisol has been like really hurting my ability to like build the type of body that I would like.
mm,
And
mm-hmm.
so if you are someone who's listening and have like, you're like, I work out every day, but I'm not seeing the results I want, like, go get your blood work done. Don't
Mm-hmm.
listen to anyone else. Stop listening to the influencers. Literally go out of network and go
Yeah.
get every blood work panel done that you possibly can. Um, Mine cost like, not gonna lie, it was like a grand,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the best decision I've ever made because now
Mm-hmm.
I know how to like what I need to eat, what I need to cut, um, in order to start to see the results that I want, and
Yeah.
like what's
Yeah.
inflammatory and what's not to my body. Do that sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. The PCOS stuff is, and like endometriosis, kind of like the opposite of PCOS, like symptom and hormone wise. Like typically they're low testosterone and, but yeah, finding that out is like sometimes be such an eye opener and so helpful for people because now they have a plan to like, support what their body's doing. You don't really know until you do that testing. So
yeah,
I'm glad you
I was
figured that out.
absolutely shocked, and I think like that's one of my biggest findings after the skate is like as a woman in this society who's dealt with like body dysmorphia and things
Mm,
like that, and sitting there beating myself up. I'm like, how do I skate 3,000 over 3,000 miles and my body doesn't shift?
yeah.
What is wrong?
Yeah.
Uh, and so I think it's just very, very important that women, especially I'm approaching 30, I'm 29. I finished the
Mm,
record at 29 years old,
wow.
started it at 28, had my
Mhm.
birthday on the road.
Mm.
This like going into 30, your body starts shifting and you go through like another puberty,
Yeah.
um, that I'm starting to realize like not a lot of women talk about. So that is really important that you're on top of your blood work. And
Right.
my mom did it at 50 and she was
Mm.
like, I wish I would have done this younger.
Mhm.
So, and at 50 it saved her life. And so like imagine if you start 20 years earlier, like
Right. Yeah.
you'll be
Totally.
chilling. Uh,
Yes. Feeling a lot
Staying
better
on
for a
top
long
of your
time.
health and like not just thinking about the food you're putting in your body, but also like understanding how your body processes it. Everyone's
Yeah.
different.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's huge. The nutrigenomics component too, right? Like, is yeah, I think we're learning more and more about that too, like
I've
as the
literally
years go
never
by.
heard that word, the nutrigenomics.
Yeah. It's just how like your genetics influence how you absorb, maintain, or store certain
Yeah.
vitamins or minerals and what turns things on or maybe or off and what you potentially need more of because of how your body is or not processing things a certain way. So yeah, it is really cool. But
Yeah.
we
I
need
did
more.
also learn that my body doesn't hold B6. So I have to like take extra B6 and I was insanely deficient in vitamin D, like so
Mm,
tired.
mhm.
So my doctor put me on 50,000 IUs a
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
of vitamin D and for the next like 4 months. So
Mhm.
even though that I was out in the sun,
Yeah.
I was also deficient in vitamin D when I lived in California,
Mm.
and I wasn't as deficient as I am now, but
Wow.
now I'm no longer super tired in the morning now that I'm taking like my B supplements and my D supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very important to like, if you're feeling tired, not like, oh, I need more coffee. It
Mm-hmm.
also can be a trigger of like a vitamin deficiency.
Hey everyone, when's the last time you actually looked under the hood with comprehensive blood work? Most of you are training 10, 15, 20 hours a week, but have no idea if your body has what it needs to perform. Here's what we see constantly: low ferritin tanking your aerobic capacity, vitamin D deficiency that's increasing your injury risk or keeping you sick, elevated cortisol from overtraining, thyroid markers that are normal but not optimal for an athlete. So that's why we created our full athlete blood panel. We test everything: complete metabolic panel, advanced lipids, iron stores, vitamin D, B12, folate, magnesium, testosterone, cortisol, thyroid, insulin, hemoglobin. You name it, it's over 20 markers that directly impact your performance and your recovery as an athlete. It's $371 and includes the lab fee through Quest, and you can get tested as soon as tomorrow morning. Check the show notes for the link to order. Some state restrictions do apply, but it's available in most of the US. Stop guessing and get the data. And now back to the show.
So
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say like also a supplement that did help me was these things called neuromints that I used on the road. I don't drink coffee, but they do have caffeine in them. And my team would hand me one neuromint in the morning and I would
Yeah.
peel up and wait for it to
Yeah.
kick in. But I'd never felt caffeine hit because I've was on Adderall my whole life. So having like being off Adderall for the whole state, because I was like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
take an appetite suppressant while I'm doing
Right.
this. Sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
I finally like figured out how to utilize caffeine in as an athlete. And I don't do caffeine every day. I don't need it. But when I got towards that part of the race where I was like, not race, but like the race against myself, where I was super tired, I was having some caffeine to help me. And if we would have known my blood going into it, I definitely would have probably been housing vitamin D and some B vitamins, but that probably would have helped a lot more than the
For
caffeine
sure.
supplement.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Wow.
Sorry to keep you
Well,
over. I was like, here's
no
some more
worries.
tea.
Yes. No, it's always good nuggets. The kind of like takeaways, like know your blood work. It would have been cool to like, test you before and after, right?
Yeah,
To see like
I
what
should
was
have, but
affected, but
was not in the
yeah.
budget.
Right. No, totally, totally. Well, this has been so fun. We will link all your all the places to follow you, all that in the show notes for our listeners. If you guys want to check that out, go follow Brooke. And this has been, again, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Brooke.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kyla.
To stay up to date with the Nutritional Revolution recent activities, follow Nutritional Revolution on Instagram and Facebook, and sign up to receive the Nutritional Revolution newsletters on the Nutritional Revolution website. If you guys enjoyed today's content, please hit subscribe below to stay up to date on the latest Nutritional Revolution posts. Have a healthy day.